Hi, Assalamualaikum, and a very good day to everyone. So, this particular week we're going into Unit 4 and we're going to talk about beyond limits. So, this particular lecture video is only going to go through the unit skills, which are listening, speaking, and presentation skills. For the TED Talk video, you can go to our eCampus and look into our Unit 4, if I'm not mistaken, week 5 or week 6, and then there will be a TED Talk video for you to watch over there. And most of the skills here, not most, all of the skills here that we are going to talk about is based on that particular TED Talk video. Right, so first let's look at limits. So this particular unit is talking about beyond limits, going beyond your limits. So this is a story about Kelvin Doe. When he was 30 years old, he began searching through the trash cans in Freetown, Sierra Leone, looking for spare electronic parts. Eventually, he found enough parts to put together an entire homemade radio station. How cool is that? Now he broadcasts music, comedy, and news features to his community under the nickname General Focus. So can you imagine that, going through the trash can looking for parts, electronic parts, and then be able to assemble a radio station? And now he broadcasts music, comedy, and news features to his community under the nickname General Focus. How cool is that, going through the trash can and finally you'll be able to assemble a radio and create a homemade radio station for your community. So I've got this particular phrase from the TED Talk video. Is it true that we have to be limited? We have to be in a state of limited to be limitless. Think of that. Okay, so first of all, we are going into the listening skill. And this particular skill is when we need to recognize repetition of key points. Speakers often repeat their key points to emphasize or clarify them. As you listen, notice which words are repeated. This will help you identify and understand the ideas that the speaker thinks are most important. So this is where, when a speaker talk and when a speaker deliver a speech, they will try to repeat words, phrases to show it's important in delivering the message. So when you listen carefully and you'll be able to detect this particular speaker is repeating a few words or phrases, then you need to understand and you need to notice that particular word or phrases, because that word or those words or phrases that the speaker is trying to speak and being repeated, that is the key points that the speaker is trying to convey. For example, at some point in their lives, all of them were told that they could not learn, but later became successful. And interestingly, for many of them, their success is not in spite of their so-called differences and limitations, but rather because of them. So right now, the key point that the speaker is trying to convey is how these people were successful, based on the repetition of the word success. Often speakers will use synonyms and synonymous phrases for keywords to add variety to their speech. Listen for words and phrases with synonymous meanings. Read and listen to the example. This is where a speaker do not repeat the same words or phrases, but they sort of rephrase the word or phrases, but having the same meaning. For example, here, image of that thing and everything around it. Compare it to the visual information. So basically, those two things are the same thing, but being delivered differently with different words and sentences. But still, the speaker is trying to convey the same thing and repeat the same thing using different words. So when she looks at something, her mind creates an exact image of that thing and everything around it. For most people, this would be a serious problem. Our brains cannot handle all the visual information that is constantly entering it. So we miss a lot of things. So now the speaker repeat the phrase image of that thing and everything around it, and repeat it again using the word of the visual information. So the key point here that the speaker is trying to convey is how brains process visual information. So get it? So when the speaker is trying to deliver a certain important point, they usually will repeat that particular point, either using the same words or using different words, but the meaning is still the same. And now we are talking about speaking skill. When we talk, it's important for us to explain a sequence of events. But when we talk about events, many events, and we would like to put them into a timeline, it's important for you to have a certain words that shows the timeline. And here are some of the words: in, at that time, after, eventually, before, as soon as, when, suddenly, it was, then, that, once. If you notice, these words all shows time. And this is the example given by the textbook. Dr. Temple Grandin was diagnosed with autism in, showing the time, 1949, at the age of 2. At that time, showing the time as well, little was known about the condition, and people with autism were not expected to do much in their lives. After diagnosis, many ended up in institutions where they got progressively worse and eventually died. Eventually is a time phrase as well. Here are some, so these are the common signal words and phrases that are used to explain a sequence of events. So when you look at the example, you can see that in, at the age, at that time, after, eventually is showing a timeline of what happened. So when you talk about time, you need to use the time phrase, for example the one that's shown here, to show your story from beginning till the end. That's it, as simple as that. And finally, we are going into presentation skill. Remember the listening skill, when a speaker uses repetition to show certain points, certain important points. So now when you do a presentation, when you are the speaker, you will use that particular skill as a presentation skill. So when a presenter repeats keywords, it can make the presentation easier to follow, and also helps the audience focus on and remember the presenter's main ideas. Read and watch the example from the top. As I destroyed each project, I was learning to let go. Let go of outcomes, let go of failures, and let go of imperfections. The repetition of phrase let go shows you that this is an important point for the speaker, to let go. And this is just a simple exercise for you. So I would like you to go to eCampus, watch the TED Talk video, and I would like you to do this particular exercise. Watch for details, read the important events in Hanson's live below, then watch the edited TED Talk video again and number the events in the correct order. Write 1 next to the first event and 2 for the next second event, and so on. So here, I would like to do this particular activity. I don't want you to watch the edited TED Talk video. Go to YouTube, watch the full version, and try to remember what happened. To Hanson's life. And then I would like you to number it down from A to G. Which one happened first, which one happened next, and so on. So once you have done that, so these are the answers. And that's all for this particular week. Thank you.